has been determined as hyperthermia and probable dehydration due to the environmental exposure. Oski, the dog's cause of death, remains undetermined, and based on the condition of Oski's remains and evidence the investigators recovered on scene, we believe Oski was also possibly suffering from heat-related issues. Oski was an 8-year-old Aussie Akita mix. Heat-related deaths are extremely difficult to investigate, and I want to thank you all for being patient with us as we investigated this case. As I mentioned from the beginning, the Garish and Chung family have been our top priority as we dealt with this horrible event. And our office has dedicated an entire team to this case, and we have partnered with over 30 local, state, and federal agencies. The following timeline of events was created based off our evidence collection and our investigation. On Saturday night, August 14th, Jonathan used an app on his phone to plot out the route of travel of the Heights Cove hike. We know that using this app, he entered in waypoints and a point-to-point mapping, and although this did not calculate the specific mileage or the elevation changes, this was not uncommon as Jonathan had used additional hiking apps, and he did take frequent hikes. On Sunday morning, August 15th, around 7:45 a.m., a witness walking in the area saw the family truck heading in the direction of the Heights Cove trailhead. At 8 a.m., that same witness observed the truck parked at the trailhead and no family was around. The approximate temperature in that area was 74 to 76 degrees, and the elevation is approximately 3,800 feet. Jonathan, his wife Ellen, and their 1-year-old daughter Miju, who was riding in a backpack-style child carrier, and the family dog Oski left on foot from the Heights Cove Road trailhead. The family walked 2.2 miles down the Heights Cove Trail to the U.S. Forest Service Trail labeled 20 E. Edward 01.4. The elevation at the trail intersection is approximately 1,930 feet. And the approximate temperatures were 92 to 99 degrees. They continued walking along this trail, the 20 E. Edward 01.4, which parallels the South Fork of the Merced River for approximately 1.9 miles to the Savage Lundy Trail intersection. At the Savage Lundy Trail intersection, the elevation is approximately 1,800 feet, and the temperatures were approximately 99 to 103 degrees. Jonathan and Ellen, Miju, and Oski then began the steep incline of the Savage Lundy Trail. This section of the trail is a south to southeast facing slope, exposing the trail to constant sunlight. There's very little shade along this section of the trail due to the Ferguson fire of 2018. The temperatures along this section of the trail were between 107 and 109 degrees from the time of 12:50 p.m. to 2:50 p.m. It started to cool slightly around 4:50 p.m. With a low degree of 89 from 105. The family hiked approximately 2 miles up the Savage Lundy Trail. And on Monday, August 16th, the family babysitter arrived for her normal shift to Jonathan and Ellen's home. The babysitter was unable to locate the family and called other family friends and attempted to locate them. The family continued to search, continued to call Jonathan and Ellen throughout the day. After failed attempts to locate the family and friends, they reported them missing at 11 p.m. on Monday night to our office, and our deputies began their investigation. On Tuesday, August 17th, At 1:50 a.m., a Mariposa County Sheriff's deputy searching the area located the vehicle at the trailhead and immediately requested a search and rescue mission be initiated. On Tuesday, August 17th, at 4 a.m., search and rescue teams arrived and were able to locate both human and animal tracks and began tracking down the Heights Cove Trail. At 8:40 a.m., additional teams began down the opposite direction, going down the Savage Lane Trail. California Highway Patrol was contacted, and their helicopter H-40 was requested to assist in the search. Tuesday, August 17th, at 9:30 a.m., search and rescue teams located Jonathan, Ellen, Miju, and Oski approximately 1.6 miles from their vehicle on the Savage Lane Trail, all deceased. And it should be noted, when they were located through our investigation, there was one 85-ounce bladder, water bladder backpack located with the family. This water bladder was empty, and no other water containers, no other water filtration systems were located amongst the family. Now I want to share a short video from the CHP H-40 of the trail area, and specifically to show the terrain, the Savage Lane portion, so you can see what the current terrain was during these temperatures and on this day. It's approximately 3-minute video. If you can see. And this imagery is from helicopter H-40, and this is the day of the recovery. So this is a specific conditions and weather and terrain. You see these switchbacks, that's the Savage Lane Trail as it comes up to Canyon. When sheriff personnel located the family, there were no apparent causes of death. And due to that, we requested an overflight, ensuring the safety of our searchers and staff, and to preserve scene integrity. We were aware that this trail had been posted by the Sierra National Forest for toxic algae, and this area is known to have mines, which precautions were taken due to the possibility of unknown environmental hazards. Now, regarding the water, and if you have specific questions on the water, or the water samples, or the results, or any other water-related questions, I would please ask that you contact the State Water Board. But we did take we utilized 6 separate laboratories assisting in the testing of the water samples. The testing that was done on the water taken from several locations along the South Fork of the Briese River was confirmed positive for antitoxin A. We do not have any evidence indicating that Jonathan, Ellen, or Mijo ingested any of that water. And we also know that there has not been any recorded deaths of humans connected to antitoxin A. But we do know that antitoxin A is and can be deadly to animals. One mine was located over 2 miles from where the family was located, and our staff, along with the California Highway Patrol, H40, searched that area and found no evidence that the family located or accessed the mine. Our office received an overwhelming number of tips, suggestions, and investigative requests that were all reviewed and taken into consideration. We're confident of our findings, and our investigation supports the findings from the pathologist and coroner's office. My team and I have personally met with the family and shared with them the results of our investigation. So with that, I would like to thank the men and women of the Mariposa County Sheriff's Office who worked day and night on this case, and the following agencies that assisted us during this investigation. And those agencies are the California Department of Justice Crime Scene Investigation, United States Forest Service Law Enforcement Branch, United States Forest Service Recreation Department, United States Forest Service Trail Maintenance, United States Department of Interior, National Park Service Law Enforcement, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration meteorologist in charge out of Hanford, California, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration National Center for Environmental Information, Mariposa County Environmental Health, California Department of Public Health, California Water Board, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, Weapons of Mass Destruction and Scientific Response Unit, University of California, Davis Veterinary Medicine, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, Dr. Merrill, Madera County District Attorney's Office, Cyber Investigations, Modesto Police Department, Cyber Investigations, the Fresno County District Attorney's Office, Cyber Task Force Forensic Unit, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Cyber Investigations, California Survival School, Stanislaus County Coroner's Office, the California Animal Health and Food Safety Laboratory in Tulare County, California Office of Emergency Services, California Highway Patrol Central Division Air Operations and H40, California Office of Environmental Health and Hazard Assessment, Mariposa County Geographic Information System, Doctors Medical Center, Modesto, California, California Office of Emergency Service Search and Rescue Medical Advisor, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Cyber Investigations Headquarters in Washington, D.C., Central Valley Internet Crimes Against Children, Environmental Health Investigation Branch, Center for Healthy Communities, Central Valley Toxicology, Center of Disease Control Prevention, Infectious Disease Pathology Branch, Ben Genetics, Yosemite Falls Well Drilling and Pump Service, Green Water Laboratories, and UC Davis laboratories. And with that, that concludes, if you want to have any questions.
Can you go through the symptoms of hypothermia and dehydration, kind of detail how they might have been unable to make it further from the ground?
Is it hypothermia or hyper?
Hyperthermia. So hyperthermia is the abnormally high body temperature caused by a failure of heat regulating mechanisms. So in general, the more severe hyperthermia is heat stroke. The body temperatures, when they become over 105 degrees, can have damages to the brain, can have damages to other organs, can cause muscle cramps, fatigue, dizziness, weakness, and ultimately cause death.
Can you speak about the water? Was there any water for the baby or for the dog? How much, can you give more detail about that?
Yes, so the only container of water was the 85-ounce empty Camelback. There was no additional water located or water filtration systems. And there was no evidence of any portable dog bowls.
And nothing for the child?
Correct. There was a small amount of like a formula in a bottle and some snacks.
The Sierra National Forest has closed much of the forest through October 29th. You know that's going to be changing now. And I think you can say too, just the hikers in the area, there are potential other concerns for them out there.
So I don't know or cannot comment on the Forest Service closures or the decisions. You know, our message to community and public that want to engage in hiking is definitely, you know, do the homework of the geographics as well as act appropriately for the hike.
Were you able to get into father's cell phone? And if you did, what did you learn from it?
So the cell phone is still currently being attempting to be looked at, and that is currently sitting with the FBI in the headquarters of Washington, D.C.
Was there any markers of hypothermia in the autopsy? Anything showing renal failure or anything along those lines?
I don't have the specifics, but you know, going back to the pathologist, the totality of his, you know, autopsy as well as the investigation facts, that's the conclusion that he came
Do you know how commonly people are hiking that trail during that time of year, mid-August, when it's extremely hot?
I don't know specifics, but I do know through some of the investigators that talk to experts, generally in that area, it's limited because of the rugged terrain and heat.
As the Garish and Chum family, they're relatively new, right? They may not have known how, you mentioned the app, it doesn't talk about the elevation, and it may not talk about how high it gets when you get lower, is that accurate?
Correct, yes.
Can you speak about, I mean, just how much they would hike? Doesn't it seem strange that if they hiked all the time, that they wouldn't bring enough water?
Well, I think, as you've seen in the video, what you see sometimes on a handheld device or a map that doesn't show the different geographics could be missed. I don't know that for a fact if it was missed, but as you continue to be experienced in hiking, you know, those are things to look at, but I mean, I could tell you one way or the other.
Is there cell reception in that area?
No, there's none.
Would you be able to tell if they attempted to make any calls?
Well, our hope is, as we've been told from the FBI, they are making good progress, and our hope is that that cell phone will continue to give us more answers throughout that day.
Is there anything that could be changed through the state park system to try to prevent things like this, or is it really all about personal awareness and preparedness?
I would say personal awareness is definitely number one. I think, you know, as we continue to have more hiking and more outdoor activity. There could be maybe some awareness on heat-related illnesses or the type of terrain that is common up here. You know, very deceptive.
How are you guys doing? You mentioned a huge team all dedicated to this.
We're good. We had a very good meeting with the family, and every investigator, every staff member that was involved in this case was able to intimately go through the case with them. And like I said, it's, you know, this is a real tragedy, and you know, it affects us as well. So it was a good time to connect and be able to breathe.
Jeff, what would you like to tell the local people here? They're all scratching their head wondering what's going on. What would be your message?
My message would be to prepare, if you're going to hike, to prepare appropriately, and also, you know, in a situation to try to take a breath first and see what we can do other than stay within those elements. I think the community is resilient, the community is safe, and this is, again, an unfortunate and tragic event due to the weather.
Was the family all found immediately next to each other, not spread out to different homes?
Yeah, so the family was all found in the immediate area together on the trail.
They all passed away around the same time, you know?
I do not know.
Is there any other unknown hazards at this point that you are aware of in that area, in that forest, below the set, you know, unknown hazards found in your area? So if there's anything else people should be aware of?
I would say the trail, there's no hazards that we know of. We went through the trail from air, we went through the trail by foot multiple times, the entire loop. And so I'd say it's safe.
Is it unusual? I think what really was so mysterious to a lot of people was the fact that this entire family and their dog all seemed to die relatively at the same time. You know, obviously heat and stuff is making a big impact on that. Did the coroner or did they mention just how rare this is for something like this type of event where an entire family passes away?
Yeah, so like I mentioned in the brief, you know, heat-related deaths are difficult because for Mariposa, we don't see them all the time, but there are other areas in California, in desert areas, that they do have these type of tragedies. And, you know, once we were able to establish the timeline, once we were able to establish the confirmed weather, and then also the terrain and the lack of shade and lack of water. Once we got all that together, as well as pathology report or the autopsy reports, it all pretty much fit together.
Was there anything else? I know the cell phone, the bladder of water, you mentioned some snacks and some formula. Was there anything else on the family at the time they were found?
No, just they had a set of car keys.
And what were they wearing?
I don't know the specifics, but they were in basic shorts, tank top, hiking attire, and then a baby child carrier bag.
Any hats or like hats or?
I don't think so. No.
Any indication of prescription drugs in our system, some prescription drugs are kind of thing.
So the toxicology reports all came back negative of any prescription drugs or illegal drugs.
You stated at the beginning of your statements, they started off on their journey in the 70s. And well into their journey before it started heating up to it. It's something, especially we live around here and we keep in the valley, it'll catch up, the heat will catch up to you.
Mm-hmm.
How long do you think they were in the 100-degree heat at during indication? Because from that 30-degree difference and exposure, it's, to me, I mean, just asking if it seems like it just caught.
Well, and yeah, and that's why we explained with the timeline that, you know, this, without, firsthand knowledge, how this trail in this area, drops severely in elevation, and as well as the initial, hike started off at 70, I believe 74 degrees. By the time they got down walking the roadway before they hit the trail, it's already jumped to 103. So yes, it definitely fluctuated.
How far is the trail in total, and how far along were they through that hike?
So the trail is approximately a little over 8-mile loop. And they completed the majority of the trail besides 1.6 miles of it. So if we look at, I don't know if we have the map. Can I walk over? Sorry. So the trailhead where the truck was parked. Well, that is the Heights Cove Road and Trail that leads down to the Forest Service Trail, and the Forest Service Trail ties in with the Savage Lundy Trail that is all considered Heights Cove area.
You know who had the car keys on them? You know who in the family had the car keys on them?
I don't know. They're actually located on the dirt bike.
Can
Is
you,
there any life-saving supplies in the vehicle if they were making that?
I don't know.
can you just speak about how rare hyperthermia is and how often you guys deal with a cause of death like this?
So for Mariposa County for us is rare. This is the first hyperthermia cause of death that I know of since I've worked here in 20 years. There may have been some that I wasn't aware of, but like I said, this is a case that takes time to investigate. It takes time to establish the patterns of whether what they were packing and autopsy and toxicology.
Sheriff, I'm sure it was heartbreaking talking to the family members of the deceased.
Well, I think, I know, after we're done here, our PIO will give a statement from the family. Like I said, the, meeting with them was, I think, extremely beneficial for them, and extremely beneficial for our investigators that had to go through this. But I believe that they are, happy with what, all the effort we put into this, and from the onset of this investigation and talking with them, I've always reminded them that, this is tragic, this is not a movie, and that they're first, and they're always gonna be, first to know the information before anybody else. So I think that, respect is there and professionalism is there.
That last 1.6 miles along the trail, that was a scent, so that would have been all of them.
Correct.
Just to reiterate, the 85-ounce water container was completely empty.
Yes, there was a small amount of residue, but basically,
I just remember seeing a recording somewhere that was the water left.
yeah, there was a minute amount that we were able to collect sample for testing.
Care about how many times you sent water out for testing, and then also about how far they were from your and down there.
Well, I believe that it was six different laboratories. I don't know from that how many other laboratories that I read off from the state federal agencies that also tested. But they were approximately, was it two miles from the base of Seventh Lummi Trail that would have access to it.
Is that water, you know where it came from, was it bottled water, or it might have been filtered out of your
So there was no filtration system with them, and the water tested had no antitoxin A, and the water appeared to be, I don't know, bottled water, but clean or tap water.
I'm sure you guys said there was antitoxin found in water samples. You're talking about the river samples then instead of bottled water samples?
Yes,
Okay.
several different locations were collected, downstream, upstream, the conquers, and those were the samples that did come back positive.
Is there any indication where they were found that it didn't leave a note or some type of indication that we're looking for help or seek help?
No, our only hope is that we have success with the FBI in Washington DC, and that may tell a little more of the story.
And you mentioned the app, was that you were able to find that, now obviously you couldn't get into his phone, so you got that maybe through the app company, like how did you get the app information?
Well, through the great investigative work of the detective team, talking with family, friends, as well as obtaining search warrants for other, outside of the phone, for other apps and things that they may have used. Anything else? Thank you very much for coming, and here's our PIO, Christy Mitchell.
So this is a statement from the Gershon family. The loss of a close relative is pain almost beyond words. When that loss is multiplied by 4, and one of that 4 is a baby of just 1 year old, then that pain is indescribable. When that pain is then further impacted by the lack of knowledge and certainty as the reasons for their death, then the questions of why, where, and when and how fill your mind all the days and all the nights. Into this void came the Sheriff's Office of Mariposa County. They have felt our pain, shared the distress of our loss, and have responded with sympathy, empathy, and total dedication, trying to find some answers for us. We would like to say a heartfelt thanks for their dedication and commitment. They have truly gone the extra mile. This was clearly a team effort by all concerned, from those involved in the search, in the recovery, and in the investigation. However, it would be invidious not to give our particular thanks and appreciation to Sheriff Jeremy Briese, Sergeant Joe Williams, Captain Sean Lamb, Under Sheriff Sterling Kramer, Assistant Coroner Andrea Stewart, and Sergeant Mike Sharman for their extreme helpfulness and commitment. Some questions have been answered, and we will use this information as a way of helping us come to terms with the situation. However, the question of why can never be answered and will remain with us. Our hearts will never forget the beautiful lives of Jonathan, Ellen, Miju, and of course Oski. They will remain with us wherever we go and whatever we do. In the future, when we sit beneath the trees, listening to the wind soaring through the branches, we will hear them and we will remember. Thank you, and that concludes our comments for today.
Thanks, Christy.
Okay.